There's a quiet shift that happens around 30. You start thinking more carefully. You feel a little more responsibility. Maybe you've built some stability, or maybe you're still figuring things out. Either way, something inside you says, I should probably play it safe now. And that instinct makes sense. But here's the part most people don't realize. Sometimes playing it safe after 30 is actually the riskiest financial move you can make. My name is Mike, and I'm glad you're here. I make videos that help you understand money in a calm, practical way, without pressure or hype. If you find this kind of clear, steady guidance helpful, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future conversations that make personal finance feel more manageable and less overwhelming. The idea of playing it safe usually means avoiding risk, keeping your money in cash, sticking to what feels familiar, avoiding investments because they seem complicated or uncertain, holding on to a job you've outgrown because it feels stable. On the surface, that sounds responsible. But after 30, your biggest financial threat often isn't risk. It's stagnation. When you're in your 20s, mistakes are expected. Time is on your side. You can recover from a bad job decision, a market dip, or a wrong turn. But once you pass 30, your financial decisions start to compound in more serious ways. Not just your investments, your habits, your skills, your earning power. If you freeze everything in the name of safety, you also freeze your growth. And over the next 10, 15, or 20 years, that can quietly cost you far more than a short-term loss ever would. One of the main reasons this happens is psychological. After 30, you've likely experienced a few setbacks. Maybe a layoff. Maybe a bad investment. Maybe debt stress. Your brain starts to associate uncertainty with danger, so it tries to protect you by shrinking your exposure to anything unfamiliar. The problem is that financial growth requires some level of uncertainty. Not reckless risk, just thoughtful, calculated movement. Another reason is lifestyle pressure. After 30, expenses tend to increase. Rent or mortgage payments. Family responsibilities. Insurance. Utilities. Stability starts to feel more important than opportunity. And again, that's understandable. But if you focus only on preserving what you have, without building what you need, inflation and opportunity cost quietly erode your future. So what does smart risk actually look like after 30? First, it means understanding that risk and recklessness are not the same thing. Recklessness is investing in things you don't understand, taking on debt without a plan, quitting a job without preparation. Smart risk, on the other hand, is measured. It's informed. It's intentional. Step 1 is strengthening your foundation. Before taking any financial risks, make sure you have a clear emergency fund, ideally 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. This isn't glamorous, but it gives you flexibility. When you have a cushion, risk feels less like a cliff and more like a step. Step 2 is investing consistently, even if the market feels uncertain. After 30, time is still your greatest asset. 10 or 20 years of steady investing in diversified, low-cost assets can create significant growth. Keeping everything in cash might feel safe, but over time, inflation quietly reduces its value. What feels stable today can become a slow loss tomorrow. Step 3 is investing in your earning ability. This might be learning a new skill, negotiating your salary, or exploring a side income stream. Playing safe sometimes means staying in the same role for too long because it's comfortable. But your income is one of your biggest wealth-building tools. A modest increase in salary, compounded over years, can dramatically change your financial trajectory. Step 4 is reevaluating your comfort zone. Ask yourself, am I avoiding this decision because it's truly too risky or because it makes me uncomfortable? There's a difference. Growth often feels uncomfortable at first. That discomfort isn't a warning sign by default, it's often a signal that you're stretching. Let me give you a simple example. Saver Mike is 34. He's disciplined. He saves aggressively. Every month, he moves money into his savings account. He avoids investing because he doesn't like seeing numbers go down, even temporarily. He tells himself he's being responsible. After all, he's not spending recklessly. He's not in debt. His bank balance keeps growing. But over time, something subtle happens. Inflation rises. The cost of living increases. His savings earn almost nothing. Meanwhile, he avoids learning about investing because it feels risky. 10 years pass. Saver Mike has a decent pile of cash, but it hasn't grown much beyond what he contributed. If he had invested gradually in diversified assets, even conservatively, the long-term growth could have been significantly higher. Saver Mike didn't lose money. He didn't make a dramatic mistake. He simply played it so safe that he sacrificed growth. That's the hidden risk. This is a common pattern. People think the only financial danger is losing money in the market, but there's another danger: losing purchasing power, losing time, losing opportunities to grow. After 30, time becomes more valuable because you have slightly less of it for compounding to do its work. Now, let's talk about common mistakes people make when trying to play safe. One mistake is keeping too much in cash for too long. Cash has a purpose: emergencies, short-term goals, stability. But it's not designed for long-term growth. Treating cash as a long-term investment vehicle usually leads to quiet underperformance. Another mistake is avoiding all market exposure after one bad experience. Maybe you invested during a downturn and saw losses. That's painful. But markets move in cycles. Short-term volatility is not the same as long-term decline. Reacting emotionally to temporary drops can lock in losses and prevent recovery. A third mistake is over-diversifying into complexity without understanding it. Sometimes people hear that they need to take more risk, and they swing too far in the other direction. They jump into complex investments they don't fully understand. That's not smart risk, that's confusion. Playing safe doesn't mean avoiding risk completely, and taking risk doesn't mean chasing complexity. So what's a simple action plan you can follow? Start by reviewing where your money currently sits. How much is in cash? How much is invested? If you're over-allocated to cash relative to your long-term goals, consider gradually shifting a portion into diversified investments. You don't have to do it all at once. Slow, steady adjustments reduce emotional stress. Next, automate your investments. When you remove the decision from your monthly routine, you reduce the temptation to second-guess every market move. Automation creates discipline without drama. Then, schedule a yearly review of your earning power. Ask yourself once a year, what skill could I develop? What conversation could I have? What opportunity am I ignoring because it feels uncertain? Even small upgrades in your income can outpace the returns of hyper-conservative saving. Also, define your actual risk tolerance realistically. Not the one you imagine during a calm market, but the one you can live with during a downturn. Choose an allocation that lets you sleep at night, while still giving your money a chance to grow. And finally, remember that safety isn't about avoiding movement. It's about building resilience. An emergency fund, diversified investments, multiple income streams, these are forms of protection. But they're active forms of protection, not passive hiding. The long-term mindset shift here is simple but powerful. Instead of asking, how do I avoid risk? Start asking, which risks are worth taking for the future I want? After 30, your goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty. It's to manage it wisely. Growth requires exposure, not extreme exposure, not reckless bets, just thoughtful participation. If you want your money to work for you over decades, it needs to be positioned where it can actually grow. Playing safe by doing nothing often means letting inflation, rising costs, and missed opportunities quietly define your future. A balanced approach is usually the healthiest. Save responsibly, invest consistently. Increase your earning power. Avoid unnecessary debt. Review your plan periodically. These are steady, calm actions. They don't feel dramatic, but over 10 or 20 years, they can create a significant difference. After 30, you're not too late, you're not behind by default. You simply have a clearer understanding of consequences. Use that clarity not to freeze, but to act more intentionally. If this conversation helped you think differently about what playing safe really means, and it answered some of the questions you've been carrying, Go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more practical, pressure-free money guidance. I'll see you in the next video.